What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr Wargames, back again with a branded profile, and again, sadly, it got second place, not first place at this weekend's pre-release event. Now, before you all go, oh, how did you go pre-release with the new cards, can't use it, our locals allowed us to use the pre-release cards in our decks, just because it was a nice little way to kind of change it up from 5 sealed packs and everything else like that. If you get this video up to 50 likes in the first 24 hours, it will unlock a test time video for you guys as well. That being said, I got second place for this deck, and the new cards are absolutely insane. I'll show you some combos at the end of the video as well, so you can kind of see how this deck adapts. The best thing about this is, unlike cash, through the new support, you'll probably need to spend about 20 quid at max, and you'll have everything you need. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. I'm going to dive head first into the profile and show you exactly what we've got. Triple Aluba alongside Double Tragedy. I probably should explain my matchups. So my matchups were Ninjas, okay, Labyrinths, which was very, very tricky. Like, they were quite annoying. They played just as much during my turn as I did during my turn. And then it was Sword Soul, which is a bit of a pain in the backside, Sprite, and also the one that I lost was against Scareclaw. I think Scareclaw is like a really bad matchup for this deck because their new continuous spell makes their Link free pretty much a towers. Arguably, game 2, he just opened up the nuts and completely destroyed me. But apart from that, it was kind of a very good matchup. I quite enjoyed it. It was something new to learn as well. Anyway, one Adler Byton. I'm considering cutting this. You don't need to rely on it as heavily. There is a combo that you'll see at the end where you basically use Mirror Jade's effect during your turn. I'm not the biggest fan of that, but, you know, it is an option. I kind of want to be putting Branded and High Spirits back into the deck, but it's trying to figure out exactly what I want to use it with. Double Fallen of Albaz, I'm actually highly considering putting this up to 3, and I probably will do, because I do play a spicy tech later on in the deck. Not incredibly spicy, but people don't seem to be playing it, which bemuses me. I think it's absolutely insane. It was like the MVP for me. But 2 Fallen of Albaz, and then 2 Merry Courier, I've been told. I quite like calling it Merry Carrier, because when you negate stuff, it carries your opponent's tears. But it's actually Merry Courier. And then the 1 Blazing Cartesia. Now, in this version of the deck, because of the brand new fusion monster in the Rindbrum, you actually use the Merry Courier a lot more in the deck. I really, really liked it anyway with Allure of Darkness and the Bystials, but like the combo that kind of precedes is you activate Branded Fusion, and then if you've got a Bystial, you can basically banish the Merry Carrier or Merry Courier, search out a Blazing Cartesia, special summon down the Cartesia, and then you can continue to make some fusion plays from that point on, mainly getting into the 2 brand new fusion monsters, which you'll see at the end of the video. Then, of course, we are rocking the 1 Albion Dragon, and finally, I was able to get my 3rd Bystial Lubellion, which I'm really happy for, because in this deck, I actually now want to be playing 3 Lubellion. Lubellion is actually a very important like combo starter, because it does search you out that Bystial, so it makes the combo at the start even more consistent. Because usually you want to activate Branded Fusion, you want to send your Bystial Lubellion, you want to start doing your combos off the back of an Aluba. Again, I'll show you that old combo at the end of the video. I'll try and put it all in one video so you guys can see. But in this one, when you open up Bystial Lubellion, it means that your Branded Fusion can actually send you the Tri-Brigade, which gets you into your Rindrum, and you get to go from there. If you don't have access to it, it's not the end of the world, because we did get the brand new Bulldrake as well. So, triple Magnamute, 2 Bulldrake. I didn't get these until the end of the tournament, so I couldn't put them in. But I've now kind of gone with 2 Bulldrake, 2 Druid Swarm, and the 1 Sorinir. So I have cut a Sorinir and a Druid Swarm for the 2 Bulldrakes. That's entirely up to you. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit more so you can see the full board. That's entirely up to you if you want to play it that way. You could even cut Druid Swarm down even more, because what the Bulldrake does, for those of you that don't know, is a common, very, very cheap and easy. You target a light or dark monster in either graveyard and then banish it, and if you do special summon this card, it's a quick effect if your opponent controls a monster. If your opponent special summons a Ritual Fusion, Synchro, XYZ, and or Link monster or monsters, except during damage step, you contribute 1 of a light or dark monster to then target 1 of those special summon monsters and banish it. So it's kind of nice in the sense that it's a trigger on the field effect, quite like the Magnamute, whereas like Druid Swarm and Sorinir are when they're sent. But the idea is that you still need to have another dark or light to tribute in order to do so. That can be relatively easy in a deck like this, especially when you use your Mirror Jade already, but it really comes down to like your playstyle and your personal preferences. At the end of the day, you're looking at the moment £40 on a Lubellion. The whole Bystial engine's gone down, so now is the time to buy it, in my opinion. 40 on a Lubellion, 12 on a Magnemute, and like 10 on a Druid Swarm. Whereas these are like 50p at the moment because we pulled, so from the sneak peek, through one table of 4 of us, I think there was like 8 pulled or something crazy like that. And then a dude bought a box and pulled 4 of them in a box. So they're very easy to get, at least from the boxes we saw. So that's it for the monster lineup. And you see no hand traps unless you count the Bystials. So this might change if the format does become, you know, Bystials are pretty dead. And what I would mean by that is I'd then cut the ratios of the Bystials down even more. You'd probably go down to 1 Druid Swarm, 1 Baldrake, and then you might consider going down to 2 Magnemute and then keep the Lubellions at 3. And that's where stuff like Ashes will come in, Imperms come in, and everything like that. So, the MVP of this deck now is Fusion Deployment. I know, it's crazy, right? But the reason Fusion Deployment is so good is because not only can it get you Cartesia, but it also gets you, of course, Albaz. So, obviously, you could have got Albaz before. But what makes it so good is I really, really like the ability of my opponent not expecting this at all. So, I would activate Fusion Deployment, and if I was going second, and my opponent's like, ooh, okay, he's going for an Albaz going second. They try and stop this, and I go, ha! Branded Fusion. But what made it so good as well is if I was going first, I could summon out the Cartesia, and then my Cartesia has the effect to go off during my turn as well. So it was really, really kind of cool. Put in a lot of work when I saw it. So I could arguably see putting this at 3, but it's also the reason I want to put Albaz to 3 as well. Because the best thing about this is if you use Albaz, and then you go through a normal combo in order to get Cartesia, and you don't search Cartesia or special Cartesia off of deployment, you actually then get to special summon Cartesia because there will always be an Albaz in grave. Now, yes, it sucks in a Bystial matchup because the Bystials will banish it, and that's where the benefit of a deck like this going into the format could be good, is if Bystials start dropping down in the format and not being seen as much play, this deck gets to run Riot. It's obviously a lot better last format when Ash wasn't running Riot, but now you're kind of going, right, well, less Bystials, but more Ash. Which one do you want to go with? Triple Branded Fusion, pretty standard on this one. Triple opening. 1 lost, really, really light lost. 1 regained, 1 red. And now we are playing the 1 branded in white. I'm personally, I think after playing it and testing it, I'm not a fan of the branded in white combo route. But I understand it. And again, I'll show you that at the end of the video, just so you can kind of see it. I've kept the 1 banishment in. I probably will cut this. It's an exact 40 card deck with the 1 beast. And then I still play the 1 sword and the 1 retribution. Now, obviously, in previous builds, I've never actually played both of these at the same time. And it does, especially when you're playing branded and white, this does seriously increase the risk of bricks. Because these are pretty much crap one-offs on their own. Like, if you don't have a Bystial, this is dead. If you don't have the Despia or a level 8 in the graveyard, this is dead. These are pretty dead as well, and this is dead as well. So, you kind of, if you're playing white, you play Retribution. I'm personally considering cutting this out and going for this because I really, and then I can put Branded in High Spirits back in because I don't really like the combo. So like the combo, the way it works is you make a play where you basically Soronir send the Branded in white and then you Albion send the Retribution to then banish the Retribution to add back the Branded in white. I quite liked it in the past where I could Branded Fusion my Merry Courier, activate a Bystial, banish it, and then do the Albion combo. Albion combo, send sword, banish the sword, add the Merry Courier back to the hand. Now, obviously, that's going around the Cartesia route, which I think kind of complements itself with the Fusion Deployment. So, where I might be sacrificing in that route to get to Cartesia, I'm actually backing it up with that route. So, it's down to personal preference, in my opinion. I definitely feel that if you want to play the option that a lot of people are playing, which isn't playing Fusion Deployment and is playing these cards, you'd cut the sword. Like, the sword is just a card that I keep using a lot. I understand that it is pretty bad. Like, I don't want to see it in my hands. But I still quite like the idea of, you know, even if they banish my Merry Courier, I can still banish the Retribution to add it back. So, it's really kind of cool. And it does also help that should they sword Bystial your Albaz, you get to add the Fallen of Albaz back as well. So, best of both worlds. Moving on to the extra deck, let's talk about the 2 brand new cards. So let's talk about Rimblum. This is actually a really kind of cool card. The issue is, so it requires Fallen of Albaz plus a Beast, Beast Warrior, or Wing Beast monster, which is where the Merry Courier comes into play. When a Fusion, Synchro, XYZ, or Link monster activates activate its effect, quick effect, you can negate that effect. then you can return one monster from the field to the hand. Now that's really important because you can actually loop back your Bystials, and there is part of a combo where you put a Magnamute on the board and then you bounce the Magnamute back to your hand and get to go again. So that's really kind of cool. It does have a graveyard effect, but the graveyard effect is very specific. So the graveyard effect is, while this card is in the graveyard, quick effect, you target a Fallen Valbaz in your graveyard and special summon either that monster or this card and then banish the other. So again, that's an argument of putting Fallen Valbaz to free, because it's kind of one of the ones where I actually don't mind leaving one in the graveyard floating around, because then I can utilise the second effect of that. And then we've got the Grand Guglion, or Guglignol, the Dust Dragon. I'm just going to call it Dust Dragon. This card is very interesting. Like, to me, artwork, 10 out of 10. Effect, probably like a 6 out of 10. It's not bad, but it's not busted either. It's great that it lists Cartesia, because then it allows us to, so I'm just going to bring it close to the camera and hopefully the camera will focus. So what makes this card so good is obviously it's Cartesia plus a light or dark, and if this card is fusion summoned, you get to send a level 6 or higher light or dark monster from your deck or extra deck. Now 9 out of 10 you're going to be sending it from your extra deck, because you can send like an Albion, you could send anything else that kind of be utilised for you. Keep in mind it has to be a light or dark monster. Then if a monster is special summoned to your opponent by a monster's effect, which includes the Bystials, which is really kind of cool, you can banish this card from your field or graveyard, and if you do, special summon a Dogmatica monster from your deck or a Despia monster from your extra deck. You can only use each effect once per turn. Now, I thought the second effect, like special summoning out a Despia monster, is insane. Like, I can get Quintirius like that, and I am, just because we're talking about this now, I am also playing, because of that effect, the one Proskillion. I was like, yo, if my opponent doesn't know what this does and doesn't read it, I can banish this from the graveyard and cheese out a Proskillion. Now, I know a lot of you are going to go like, whoa, what are you saying? It says a Despia monster. Technically, I'm assuming it's the same rulings of everything else. Despia, like you just take off the N and that's your Despia. Like, as long as it contains, it says monster. If it specifically said like Aluba, the Despia, then obviously I couldn't search out, summon out anything else. But because it says monster, I'm 99% sure I can choose out the Proskillion. So, very, very cool. And when it happens, like, Proskillion is so good. It's like a call by the grave. And I haven't got to worry about trying to get into it the hard way. There is spaces in the extra deck, like, if you really wanted to. Cards that I cut was like Starving Venom, Dracus Depelia, and Brigand, the Glory Dragon. But entirely up to you. And then everything else pretty falls back into the standard lineup. 2 Mirror Jades. I ain't paying $350 for no Starlight Mirror Jade at the moment. 2 Lubellion, 2 Albions, 1 Albalanatas, 2 Masquerades, 1 Quintirius, 1 Guardian Chimera, and the 1 Garura. Now, the Garura is actually pretty cool because the Garura, if you've got like nothing else to send, or you've already got your Mirror Jade way to send Albion, or you've used Brandon in High Spirits or anything like that, your Dust Dragon can actually send you a Garura for a draw, which is really funny. But yeah, that's kind of a nice option. I'll reset the board state. I'm back in a second. Okay, so let's start with the basic bread and butter combo that every branded player should know by now. And that is involving a Luba and then a random discard. So what you're going to do here is you're going to normal summon your Luba, you're going to use the effect, you're going to search yourself out a beautiful branded fusion. You're going to activate your branded fusion. This is of course going to send Albaz, and it will send Lubellion from the deck to the graveyard. This will then allow you to summon out Albion, the branded dragon. You'll trigger the Albion, the branded dragon's effect to banish the Albaz and banish the Aluba, getting you into a beautiful Lubellion, which you're going to then be able to use your trigger the effect, discard the random card in your hand, and this is going to allow you to spin back the Albaz, and make sure you spin back the Lubellion, not the Albion, because you will need this in further plays. This will allow you to summon out your mighty, powerful boss monster in the form of course, Mirror Jade. You'll then use Lubellion's effect in the graveyard to swap itself out for the Albion Dragon. And you'll then use the effect of the Bystial Lubellion to activate a beast face up. This is obviously going to give you a form of additional interruption during your opponent's turn. The other options you could go for if you are going to fuse during your opponent's turn is you can go for Lost, or of course you can also go for Regained. During the end phase, your Albion will then trigger, and your Albion can get you probably one of two of the better cards right now in Banishment or Retribution. You don't really want to go for Branding Red with this exact end board because you don't really have any targets in the graveyard, but it gives you an option of the two here, and because Albion was successfully summoned, you can summon it back off of the Branded Banishment. So this is going to give you a form of interruption with the Banishment or Retribution, plus an interruption from Beast, and of course you've got the interruption for Mirror Jade. So I'm going to reset this and I'll show you the brand new combo involving the new cards. Okay, so all you add to that first combo is you add either Lubellion or Sirenair. Now, obviously Lubellion is the more expensive one, but it does increase your end board by one form of interruption. If you don't have access to the Lubellion, Sirenair is your next best option because it will allow you to Foolish Burial certain cards in order to kind of loop back some resource and get you a little bit further. We'll start off with the Lubellion to show you the maximum potential, but then what I'll do is I'll explain to you if you were to swap this for a Sirenair or another Bystial monster, where you can kind of change it out. So, of course you can normal summon your Aluba. Aluba is going to do his good old job. He's going to search you out a Branded Fusion. If you've already got a Branded Fusion, keep in mind as well, you've got Branded Opening you can go for. You can go for a Branded in Red, Regained, Branded in White, Branded Lost, anything more that you want to push that little bit further for. So you've got this. We're then going to activate the Lubellion just because we can do it now. And this will then search you out your Sirenair. Again, it could search you out another Bystial monster. But the reason you go for the Sirenair is it does give you the ability to set up the Branded in White combo, which is really, really important when you're going to activate Branded Fusion, because you're actually going to go into a different fusion monster than your Mirror Jade. So you've got a little bit of a long way around. The other biggest disadvantage of playing the combo this way is it does kind of put you in Nibiru territory, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but there is a way that you can kind of play around that, and I'll show you that as we go. So you send your Mary Courier and your Fawn of Albaz, and you're going to summon into your Rinbrum, the Striking Dragon. Now, usually this would pretty much be it, but because you've got the Bystial, you can then use Sirenair's effect, target the Mary Courier in the graveyard, banish it, and summon itself down. This will then allow you to trigger the Mary Courier effect. Keep in mind this is in our hand for discard, and this will allow you to search out a monster that lists Fawn of Albaz. Now, if you wanted to recycle the Mary Courier, you would go for the Albion Dragon. Because we don't want to do that, we actually want to extend our board further. We're going to go for the Blazing Cartesia instead. You've got Fawn of Albaz in the graveyard, so you're going to be able to special summon out your Blazing Cartesia. So you special summon down the Cartesia, you're now going to use her effect to fuse herself and Albion. Leave the Sirenair on the board because you're going to be using that with your your Lubellion Dragon a little bit later on. So you're going to get into your Dust Dragon, you're going to be able to trigger the Dust Dragon's effect. This is going to allow you to Foolish Burial a Dragon monster from the extra deck or the main deck. Personally, I like to send from the extra deck, and I like to send the Albion Dragon because then it means I can maintain my Mirror Jade play. If you do it the other way, you're basically filling up your graveyard with the Branded in White cards. And what I mean by that is you send your Albion Dragon, and then on resolution or after resolution, when you can start a new chain, you then go, okay, cool, activate the Albion Dragon's effect, put it back into the deck, and put the Branded in White in the graveyard. You'll then activate your Bystial Lubellion's effect. Now, obviously, this is the part where it changes, is trying to loop back the Branded in White. If you do it the other way, you'll send the Albion from the extra deck, and that will set you up a fusion play for a little bit later on. So what you do here is you summon back the Lubellion, you then use the effect of your Sirenair, and that will allow you to send a branded card from the deck to the graveyard. So you're going to be able to send your Retribution. So by sending the Retribution, this is when you have the ability to banish it back and then add your Branded in White. So you're going to banish your Retribution, you're going to add the Branded in White back to the hand. You're then going to use the effect of Lubellion. And it's entirely up to you. Again, you've got Regained, you've got Lost, or you've got Beast. Beast is just your additional form of interruption on your opponent's turn. So we are going to go for Beast that way as well. This is when you get to use the Branded in White, and this is going to allow you to banish a Dark and, of course, Albaz from the graveyard. So you're going to banish your Sirenair and, of course, your Albaz, and this is going to get you into Lubellion. You then get to use Lubellion's effect to discard one random card, and this is going to allow you to discard the random card you have in your hand in order to fuse by spinning back the Albaz to the main deck, and then of course you can spin back the Lubellion as well. It's entirely up to you. Try and think where else you want to go. Yep. I mean, you could put back the Cartesia, that would then give you an Alba, but you don't really want to be doing that. So we go into Mirror Jade. Now, as it stands right now, your end phase, you're going to be adding back the Cartesia to the hand. That's pretty much it. You'll have the Mirror Jade effect live. You'll also have the Limberum effect live as well. To take it that step further, this is a part that I'm not entirely settled on, but it's just something that you need to know. You activate Mirror Jade's effect. You send as cost the Albion, and it goes to the graveyard. This is when you use the Rimbrumman effect to negate the Mirror Jade, meaning that nothing gets banished, And then in the end phase, your Albion effect will trigger, and this will allow you to pretty much set a number of things. You can go for a branded loss, you can go for a branded regained, branded in red, branded banishment, anything like that. And you'd also get to add the Cartesia back to your hand. So again, it's a bit of resource management, a bit of a loop. Again, you've got to keep an eye. You've got to have the Aluber in the graveyard, so branded in red is completely live, and you'll have the Cartesia for a follow-up of the next turn. Keep in mind that if your opponent tries to Bystial or anything, you can trigger this as well, and that is just one route of doing it. So that's pretty much it for the combos. Hopefully this has shown you everything you need to. If you do want to see a test hand video for this deck, then please make sure you smash that like button, hit that notification bell and subscribe. Getting this video above 50 likes in the first 24 hours will unlock that for you guys, because it will show you the appreciation for this type of video. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, as absolutely always, stay safe and of course, happy dueling.